Temperatures close to where they should be for the time of year at around 6 to 8 Celsius. Still quite breezy in the south, taking the edge off of those values, and a bit cooler, especially if any fog does linger across parts of Scotland. Monday gets off to a clearer start, so we'll see more in the way of frost around, some fog patches in places. That should all gradually lift to leave some sunshine in places, but notice a band of cloud with patchy rain, a bit of hill sleet there moving south across parts of Scotland. And that takes us into a fairly settled start to the next week. Some sunshine at times, but equally quite chilly still, with some night frost and fog in places.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
We want to make the new year your best year yet, with a chance to win our greatest cash prize to date. A simply stunning £85,000 in tax-free cash could be yours. Treat the family to that bucket list holiday you've always fancied. Get your dream car you've always wanted. Or just relax, safe in the knowledge that the coming year is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB18 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 30th of January. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night and this is the Saturday 5, but in extra form. It's the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Will Kingston, along with Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, Emma Trimble, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show, keep getting your questions in for Ask the Five.
And more lefty lunacy with trigger tantrums. We'll remember one of the last remaining veterans of Bletchley Park.
Sydney Sweeney is saving the world one movie at a time.
And the heartwarming story of a man who turned up for Christmas and didn't leave for 45 years.
It's 8 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5 Extra. Thank you for staying with us for the Saturday 5 Extra edition. We let our hair down, everything gets a bit loose, a bit all over the place, a bit out there, but in the most magical of ways possible to fit in with the festive spirit. Of course, we want to know your views as well. gbnews.com/your say. Before we start, well, continue the ongoing tearing apart process. It is your Saturday Night News with Bethany Elsey.
Thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 8 o'clock. Russia's latest assault on Ukraine has killed at least 2 people, injured dozens more and left hundreds of thousands without power. It comes as Volodymyr Zelensky is meeting with Mark Carney in Canada to bolster support ahead of further peace negotiations with Donald Trump tomorrow. The discussions are focusing on security guarantees for Ukraine should Moscow agree to a ceasefire. Ukraine's president thanked Canada's Prime Minister for their support in attempts to bring an end to the war, including an extra $2.5 billion in economic aid.
Last weeks we had good steps in diplomacy, but we can't live in illusion that it gives us possibility to have less air defense. With Russia it doesn't work. So thank you very much, Mark, for this meeting. We will have bilateral, and as you said, we will join our European friends, and tomorrow I will have I hope very important and very constructive meeting with President Trump.
Scotland's biggest hospital has launched a full investigation and issued an apology after undertakers were given the wrong body for a funeral service. The error was made by mortuary staff at the Queen Elizabeth University Hospital in Glasgow, and they've now been suspended. The mistake involved incorrect labelling and was only realised after cremation had taken place. A Scottish Conservative public health spokesperson has branded the incident as shocking and unforgivable failure. The government is launching a gap year scheme to give school and college leavers a taste of the Army, Royal Navy or RAF without a long-term commitment. The course is aimed at under-25s and is part of efforts to solve long-term recruitment and retention problems. Applications to be part of the first 150 recruits open in the spring before expanding to more than 1,000 a year. The Bayeux Tapestry will be insured for around £800 million when it comes to the UK next year. The Treasury will back the cover of the 900-year-old priceless artefact under the government indemnity scheme. The insurance will cover damage or loss during its transfer from France and while it's on display at the British Museum. State of emergencies have been declared in both New York and New Jersey as they brace for their biggest snowstorms in years. More than 2,000 international and 14,000 domestic flights have been cancelled. People across the northeast have been advised to stay off the roads because of treacherous conditions. Ice storm warnings have also been issued for most of Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. And let's end on these amazing pictures of Mount Etna erupting in Italy. Huge amounts of lava and ash are being shot out of the stratovolcano on the east coast of Sicily. It's been erupting sporadically since this morning, and it last erupted in June this year. You're up to date. Have a very good evening.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Thank you very much, Bethany. A really poignant comment from Neil from our previous segment on the trans lunacy that we've had to endure this year. Neil says, I cannot fathom how women, 50% of the population, I think even a tad over, 51, fought against men for the right to vote and be heard, and 100 plus years later, men in frocks are once again trying to silence and demonise women.
It is the most misogynistic movement that there is. It really is. And that's why I said I feel like we're going backwards
Maybe
now.
second to Islamism.
We will potentially continue to open that can of worms later. I'll see how spicy I'm feeling. But first, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get your questions in for Ask the Five. Now, we have our first question, I believe...
Well, hang on, can I just interrupt you? Because there's a more important early Ask the Five from a friend of the show, Michael, or as we know him, Psycho Bob 01 on Twitter, who's asked, will the jacket and tie combo Will's mum made him wear for Christmas presenting duties make an appearance tonight, or will Kai be giving Will fashion tips?
Well,
yes or no question.
I will have to admit a couple of things. Number one, believe it or not, my mum did actually get me that tie for Christmas, and so that is a mum choice. But number two, I stand by my long-held belief, and I actually think this has gone from being a belief to a law of GB News, that inevitably right-wing members of panels are better dressed than left-wing members of panels, and Kai continues to...
Formally dressed, perhaps. I've become much more kempt.
I look way cooler
in the last few months.
Have you just conceded you're a left-wing member of the panel there, Trey?
No, I'm not a lefty, no.
Very, very interesting.
You could have fooled me.
Well, I, for one, think nobody has ever looked as refined as Kai did when he was dressed as Mrs. Claus.
That's a fair point.
That's a fair point. Dressed as
a beaver.
There was that.
A good point.
And don't forget, Anne Widdecombe did call him Mr. Beaver.
That's one of the great highlights of the Saturday Five. Wonderful.
And of Kai's CV.
And of Kai's CV. Exactly right. Lovely to reflect back on those moments, and a nice little Freudian slip there from Trey as well. Let's move on. GB News member David has asked, on more serious matters, should halal meat be clearly labelled at point of sale? Renee?
100% it should be, as should kosher meat. Let's be balanced about this. Also, I think if this government are so keen on stopping animal cruelty, so much that they're focusing on lobsters before they're focusing on halal meat and kosher meat, we should insist in this country that both of those meats are stunned before being killed and then labelled on the pack. The NHS now only has kosher meat, by the way, because it's easier for them to do it that way than to actually dish out halal or halal meat, not kosher. Right. Halal meat, thank you, Kai, because it's easier than actually just making...
I agree with Renee 100% that it should be labelled clearly, because there are a lot of supermarkets that do just put this meat on their shelves, and you have to actually look for the abattoir number, and then maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And there are some people that for religious reasons can't eat halal meat. So it's not just about the animal welfare side of it, it's also about whether you're actually sort of deceiving people into doing something that goes against their own religious...
I went the other way.
To simplify for both of you, I imagine you would both agree that at least transparency is important and that it should be labelled clearly.
To simplify for both of you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's make the question a bit harder. I don't understand, amongst the sweeping animal welfare strategy that Labor has introduced in the last couple of weeks that involved the Lobster Lives Matter movement. Lobsters are now not allowed to be boiled alive.
I would support, if you can kill a lobster another way, why boil it alive?
I'm not being sarcastic. Hashtag Lobster Lives Matter.
For the sadistic fun of it, Renee.
And of course the ban on trail hunting, which we've reported on in GB News, which we've reported on GB News in the last few days. There was a very, very conspicuous absence in that sweeping reform package, and that was a failure to ban both halal and kosher slaughter. Why do you think that there was that very noticeable omission from an otherwise very sweeping animal welfare strategy, Kai?
Voters.
Honesty!
We get surprised sometimes. I haven't thought about it very much. It's always seemed odd to me that, so you claim, and apparently it's the case, that halal meat is just commonly used, the de facto in the NHS hospitals. It seems odd, and it seems to me that it should be clear from the point of sale, yes, and it seems to me that maybe it should have been part of a sweeping welfare strategy for animals.
It's obviously viewed as more offensive to people of the Muslim religion to serve them meat that is not halal than it is to serve the rest of the population halal meat.
Yeah, because people govern by consent and assume that people will just not pay attention, and that's the case here, isn't it? It's sort of just happens, and it's easier.
We put literally every single possible health warning or dietary requirement or whatever on foods. I think this is an open and shut one. But the harder one to you, Trey, is do you think that we should ban halal and kosher slaughter?
No, we shouldn't. I think there are so many people that do it for faith reasons, and if you are going to do it, you really should consult those groups, because what are they going to do as an alternative?
Well, I guess they just stun. They use stun, as many of them do already.
We literally would have to do it with consultation with imams and rabbis. It's the only way to do it. It's people's faith at the end of the day.
Oh, too much
So we haven't consulted with the British public over lobsters, have we?
I think there's a lot of worse stuff that's going in our foods, to be fair. But come on, guys, you know there are people who have religious beliefs. It's going to be very hard for them.
Yeah, and some people have religious beliefs that stop them from being able to eat halal meat. So why should one religious group be privileged over the others when it comes to transparency?
Can Christians not eat halal?
I think
it doesn't go against
I think that there are some
Christian
Eastern
faiths.
religions with it.
I don't believe that just a blanket...
Muslims can eat kosher food, for
I don't believe that just a blanket answer of, well, someone has a religious belief necessarily overrides all other considerations. Like, for example...
Because on that basis, we would be letting people marry 9-year-old girls.
Or letting the French make foie gras in this country.
Well, look, that's actually a very good segue to Stephen's question.
Some of the comments on it.
That's a very good segue to Stephen's question on the Bayeux Tapestry. It was almost certainly made in England, likely in Canterbury. If other countries want their items repatriated, can we do the same? So I believe he's referring to ongoing
Elgin marbles.
Elgin marbles. A lot of the items in the British Museum, where countries like Greece, for example, are claiming that they have a right to those items in the British Museum and other museums across the UK. If that is the case, if we're going to take that as a premise, why can't we just storm the beaches of Normandy and take back the Bayeux Tapestry by force?
Calais is out.
Once again.
Well, because we're the only country in the world that is so embarrassed of our history that we can't do anything that the people would like us to do.
No, that's not true. Germany sent back loads of the Benin bronzes, and I don't think they necessarily should have done that.
And actually, but the Benin...
There has to be a middle ground here, a sensible solution. The fact is, Bayeux, I've been to see it, the tapestry, because it's so close. I don't think really talking about repatriation in that sense, in that specific instance, makes sense. I did not go.
Did you come back in one?
I'd be very uncomfortable. But yeah, they're all a case-by-case basis, aren't they? I don't think we should be plumbing back through the depths of time to repatriate everything. I think that movement is a bit of a nonsense. It's gone too far.
So do you think we should send back the Elgin marbles?
In some cases, yes. Because, I can see why the Elgin marbles have this totemic value to Greece, where surely there's a middle ground of compromise, where we can have them some of the time, they can have them some of the time.
Although this is...
It's a sensible decision.
The understanding is that once they go over to Greece, they won't return.
Yes.
But there has to be some sort of mutually beneficial agreement that lifts up both cultures.
Why?
And something that they each...
Because some of these artefacts are very important to their country.
Who cares? At one point in history, this was the most powerful country that the world had ever seen. There was private acquisition of some beautiful, wonderful items. In many cases, it was done completely legally. In some cases, it was just done because this country was better. That's the way the world works. Why are we suddenly saying, oh, well, because a country, just wants something back when they didn't actually win via conquest? Why do we take these people seriously?
Simple. If we want to uphold British values of fairness, then why would we not do it? Would it not be fair to repatriate something to its country of origin?
They have both.
But we don't uphold...
If there's an agreement...
But we don't uphold those values of fairness when it comes to women having their own spaces, do we, Joe?
I do. Why would I not? I do. I absolutely do. I always say that it's for women to decide.
I don't want us to get down the trans rabbit hole once again. Emma, do you think a single item in the British Museum should go back to its place of origin?
Nope. No, not at all. And actually, I think if we're talking about fairness, one of the aspects of this, obviously, I mean, you said it yourself, Kai, there is a kind of historical complexity here. Like the Elgin marbles, the modern state of Greece didn't even exist when those were removed and brought to Britain. With the Benin bronzes, you send it back to where it came from, and then you end up with it being in a private collection and no one can see it. So maybe if we wanted to play a cheeky little game, we could try a quid pro quo and start claiming our own things get repatriated back, and then maybe people will stop making these unreasonable demands. But no, I think actually a lot of artefacts have been saved from people like Islamic State being smashed to pieces because they are in the British Museum.
I think that is the key point. I may have been being a bit cheeky before, but there are two arguments which I think are serious and worth mentioning, and that is number one, one, that many, if not most, of the items in the British Museum that have come from other countries are at one point privately acquired in a very different time and age, but nonetheless privately and legally acquired. And the second point, and I think the best point, is that if they'd stayed in many war-torn, dangerous countries, they wouldn't have been preserved in the way that the British have been able to do so spectacularly. And that's why I walk through the British Museum is one of the truly special life experiences. I was there only the other day. Next, we're going to tell you about the 5,000-year-old game, talking about ancient wonders, that's making a surprising comeback. This is the Saturday 5 Extra, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday from 8 p.m.
The National Trust has come under fire after declining a Catholic filmmaker's request to shoot a documentary at St Cuthbert's Cave in Northumberland. St Cuthbert's Cave was a crucial location for the film, as it's traditionally believed to be where the saint's body rested in 875 before he was moved to Durham, where it remains today. Trust justified its decision by citing the project's religious affiliation, sparking accusations that the heritage charity has breached equality laws and is engaging in illegal religious discrimination. Well, I'm joined now by the filmmaker at the centre of the story, Christian Holden. Christian, thank you for coming in. So, first of all, tell me about St Cuthbert. Why do we mind about St Cuthbert?
Well, St Cuthbert, this historical figure, this great figure of the northeast of England and the Scottish borders area, was renowned for his physical prowess, for his great night vigils. I approached the National Trust to ask permission to film there, and the initial response I had from them by email was that they didn't host any filming of a religious or political nature. I made a phone call to that particular person and explained more about what we hope to do, and that aside from its religious storyline, there's also historical value to it, cultural.
And so you were making the case that St Cuthbert was a cultural icon as well as a religious icon in the northeast of England, a very important political as well as religious figure in the consolidation of Christianity in the northeast.
It's such a critical part of our culture and our heritage, particularly in that area as well. So I was bewildered to be refused to visit and film this site of such importance on the basis of essentially being a Christian filmmaker.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra, only on the People's Channel, GB News. Your comments have been coming in again at a furious pace. You've got a good one in front of you there, I believe, Renee.
I do. Going back to our conversation about this new Labour join the army plan, Sarah Smith says, I'd quite like my daughter to give the gap year a go. Zero chance of getting a job in the real world. The only problem is that she worries about Labour's lies and that she might end up on the front line in Ukraine. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because these kids don't have jobs or they're not taking them.
This has been the solution to this problem for the last 20 years, which is just increase the size of publicly funded jobs.
But, well, yeah, I mean, that's why we can't take a blunt instrument, right, and say, oh, we'll cut public sector jobs by X%, because, you know... Anyway, the point is, I totally agree, because one of the points we didn't get to earlier is in this job market, I'd be taking that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be rubbish.
Oh, can I sign you up?
Yeah, sign me up. That could 50% in Australia, where this was trialled successfully. It's over 600, almost 700 kids do it every year, and 50% stay on to the army. That's where this idea is from.
It just points to something, though, because you notice how she said she wouldn't want her daughter on the front lines of Ukraine. That's what I meant. A lot of these modern wars.
No mother would want their child on anything.
I know, but I don't think a lot of young people would want to be in a lot of these modern wars.
I don't think somehow during the First or Second World War everyone was like, oh, I'd love it if my son spent some more time at the front. But I think they should do like Duke of Edinburgh Extra instead, where they just do a slightly more intensive version where they teach them, you know, how to use weapons and whatnot.
Look, I should qualify my earlier statement. Of course, the Army or the Armed Forces is publicly, or are, I should say, publicly funded. I think that is a better way to provide publicly funded jobs, of course, than HR managers or comms managers in the civil service. So it is all relative. If we are going to give publicly funded jobs, these are certainly the best ones to give out. A question as well has come in from Johanna. That's a pregnant pause there for you. Rachel Reeves has backtracked on farmers, although not enough. She's, of course, referring to the U-turn on the farmers' inheritance tax policy. What do you think she has in store for us on March 6th? Emma, I'm going to start with you. A question without notice. How do you think Rachel Reeves is going to deal with what is still anemic economic growth in this country, 0.1% in the last quarter, and a generally, I would say, dire fiscal outlook?
I think she's going to take that pillow that she's holding over the economy and she's going to push it down as hard as she can until she just suffocates the whole economy. I just think that they don't have a solution to, I mean, we know what the solution is and it's the opposite of what they're doing. What they're doing is constantly taxing the productive parts of the economy in order to fund the unproductive parts of the economy. It's going to end in disaster, but they only know how to do one thing. So they just are going to keep doing more of the same until we squeak.
But is it not that it's not even that they only know how to do one thing, it's that they're very, very...
Ideological,
left corner of the party expects them to just tax the rich. That's the only answer they have.
Kai, we are tumbling down the dark side of the Laffer curve. For people who are unaware, and I think most GB News viewers would be aware of the Laffer curve by now, but it means that there is an optimum point in tax. If you go beyond that optimum point in tax policy, you actually get less tax revenue because, for example, rich people leave the country and they take the money that would be going into Treasury coffers with them. And employers, all that sort of stuff. That's the basic idea. I think we are finding ourselves tumbling down the other side of that Laffer curve. Why does the Labor Party refuse to admit that there are two sides to a budget, the bringing revenue inside, but also the spending side? And again, if you want to be honest and just say politics again, I'm happy to accept that answer.
No, I think it's proving much more difficult. And I think what reform will find as well is that it is pretty difficult to find savings in the current setup that we have. It needs radical action that the Labour government and most governments wouldn't be willing to take. Similarly, reform county councils have struggled in the same vein. It's not the same, but it sort of is.
Well, time will tell. Let's bring you something a bit different, ladies and gentlemen. Once upon a time, playing a board game with family and friends was a big Christmas tradition. But if you thought it had died out, the world's oldest board game is making a bit of a comeback. Backgammon is cool again, and I, for one, couldn't be happier. Clubs in London and New York are springing up. Even the Beckhams have been pictured playing the 5,000-year-old game, and I am delighted to be joined by a titan in the backgammon community, Julia Haywood, who's the head of the UK Backgammon Federation. Julia, thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Tell me, what do you put this maybe revival, if that's the right word, or revived interest in backgammon down to?
I think we saw two very big steps up in recent years. One of those was when COVID struck and suddenly we're all cooped up. We have to find things to do with our time, and we saw people starting to get interested in playing games online, all sorts of games you can find online, and backgammon was one of those that benefited a lot from that. We saw our online leagues getting more and more members. And then suddenly we're all set loose 2 years later, and we thought, well, things will just go back to normal. But we saw people move from sitting in front of their computers to actually wanting to go out and play face to face. So we'd missed all that human contact. We'd played sort of fairly faceless things on our computers, and suddenly, yeah, we can get out, we can play a fun game. It's great to play together. And we saw clubs starting to form all over the country, and particularly in London, where there's quite a big playing community. And it's a game that you can play socially. You can get really serious and sort of heads down focused on it, but you can play as a group of friends and have a really great time, and everyone enjoys themselves.
I hadn't actually considered the online element to this. Do you think that you can still build that sense of fun and community around the game through those online leagues to the same extent, or are you a bit more of a purist and you think to be a true backgammon player you need to actually be looking at your opponent in the eyes?
I think it's a bit of both. Online is a good introduction for people, particularly if they haven't got a group near them or they're sort of experimenting for the first time. A lot of people pick up these sort of really casual phone apps, and that's a way to get started, and then they find other people who play. And I think playing face to face is more enjoyable, it's more fun, you get more out of it, but it's not, at the moment, it's not possible for everyone. And that's one of the things we're trying to work on by growing the number of clubs and growing how healthy and successful they are.
Yeah, wonderful. I have a backgammon player to my left. Dr. Renee, what do you have for us?
Hello, Julia. Well, I certainly played backgammon as a teenager, and the great thing about it is that I was, at that point, staying with a very big family, and as many people who wanted to come and join in the family could, and that was what was great about it. So I have since then become a great fan of board games throughout my whole life. So in our house today, we played Monopoly, we play chess, we play drafts. I've got a little one who's 7, so we're slowly introducing her to all of those things. Do you think this revival of backgammon will actually just revive a general interest in people playing board games together instead of sitting at the same table or looking at their phones?
I would be absolutely delighted if it did. I think different games have different appeals to people. I used to play chess a long time ago. I used to have the family Monopoly, which lasts forever. That's one of the reasons why you can't just go down the pub and play a game of Monopoly in an evening. It'd be well past kicking out time before you finished. Yeah, and I think a lot of traditional games are increasing in the number of people playing. We're rediscovering a lot of traditions.
Yeah.
Trey?
Dr. Rennie literally took the words right out of my mouth, so I have to think of another question. And the question is this, right? You know, when most people think of backgammon, if we're really being honest, some people look at it as a little bit dull if you compare it to other board games. What do you think that can be done to actually make it more interesting, more exciting, more sexy maybe to the masses? Because it's a 5,000-year-old game.
I think one of the big things that once you get into playing it, you find you never quite get the same game twice. You can play an entire evening and you don't get two similar games. It's a game that's very approachable. I say to people, well, a beginner can beat a grandmaster. They won't do it in the long run, but you're never sort of stepping into a game where you have no chance, regardless of who you're up against. And there's a real sort of not knowing what's going to happen, and you can have very, very dramatic turnarounds right at the very death of a game. You can still rescue yourself from an almost hopeless position, and that's for people watching and seeing the swings of fortune. I think there's a lot just that you can get out of the game just by watching and sort of feeling part of someone else's experiences.
Well, Julia, we've got viewers and listeners across the UK. If they're interested in backgammon, how can they get involved?
The easiest way is to go to our website, theukbgf.com. There we have listings of all the national clubs that we're aware of, and we have events around the country maybe every couple of weeks. We have, like, for those who want to get more competitive, there is a UK tour. So the biggest tournaments dot around once a month. So we go to Brighton, Scarborough, Manchester, St Albans, London, Liverpool, Aberdeen this year, Bristol. So literally there will be one near you.
Wow.
Yeah, just come along to our website or get in touch with us directly, and we can point you in the direction of some friendly players.
Well, move over darts, because I'm putting those locations in my diary. That sounds like an absolutely wonderful night out, but also a great fun at a more communal level for anyone who wants to get involved. Julia, it sounds like you're doing wonderful work in not just promoting the game, but building a sense of community in regional areas. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight.
Thanks,
Julia.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Next, ladies and gentlemen, we will go through our favourite moments from the past week, or the things that made us smile, with High Five, including acknowledging a Second World War hero and discussing how sister Sydney Sweeney is saving the world one film at a time. This is the Saturday 5 Extra, only on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, if you're off to the Eastern Med or Italy over the next few days for a New Year break, it'll be often sunny and dry, but much more unsettled towards the Western Med, particularly across Iberia, with some areas of low pressure bringing in some heavy rain, some strong gusty winds as well, and some mountain snow. Heavy snow on Saturday and into Sunday across the Pyrenees and Andorra. The showers clearing away from Sicily, leaving most of Italy and Greece fine and sunny, but there will be some heavy snow across parts of northern Turkey, otherwise a fine outlook elsewhere.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see a mixed bag of weather across the UK over the next few days. Some sunshine, but equally thicker bits of cloud giving some patchy rain, and some frost and fog in places during the overnight period as well. High pressure centre towards the northwest of the UK at the moment. Fairly tightly packed isobars indicating quite brisk winds, and those winds are coming in from a chilly east to northerly direction. Certainly a lot of cloud coming in on that easterly flow during the overnight period as well. Some cloud breaks out towards the west of Wales, across the far southwest of England, but the best of the overnight breaks are likely across parts of Scotland. Here turning quite frosty, the blue colours there indicating a widespread frost. Some fog patches in places as well, but with the cloud down towards the south and across eastern spots, and with that breeze too, mostly frost-free here. So as we go into Sunday then, we get off to quite a bright start across Scotland once the fog and frost lifts, but that fog could take time to clear in places. Certainly a very cold start, say temperatures below freezing in places here. More in the way of cloud across Northern Ireland, some bright spells. And across England and Wales, it's a fairly cloudy start to Sunday as well. The best of the early brightness across West Wales and the far southwest of England, but elsewhere with a cloud around and a bit of a breeze too. It's mostly frost-free across England and Wales. Going through the rest of the day on Sunday, once that fog and frost clears from Scotland, plenty of sunshine here, some brightness out across other western spots at times, but generally speaking, it will be quite a cloudy day, especially across England and Wales, mostly dry, and later in the day we'll start to see some clearer weather moving in across the far southeast as well. Temperatures close to where they should be for the time of year at about 6 to 8 Celsius, still quite breezy in the south, taking the edge off of those values, and a bit cooler, especially if any fog does linger across parts of Scotland. Monday gets off to a clearer start, so we'll see more in the way of frost around, some fog patches in places. That should all gradually lift to leave some sunshine in places, but notice a band of cloud with patchy rain, a bit of hill sleet there moving south across parts of Scotland. And that takes us into a fairly settled start to the next week. Some sunshine at times, but equally quite chilly still, with some night frost and fog in places.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra. As we hear coughing from Renee, eating from Kai, and general disagreement from Emma and Trey. It's now time for High Five, where we discuss our favourite moments from the past week. And I just thought I wanted to kick us off with, I was about to say an ode to the country walk, but that would require me to sing perhaps, which I probably don't want to inflict on the audience. But I want to praise the great tradition of the English country walk. Only a few days ago, I was at the King's Arms in the wonderful little village of Shoreham after a 5-kilometre walk through the woods there, through England's green and pleasant land. And I just, in that moment, remembered there is so much that is good about this country. There is so much that is worth protecting. There is so much that is worth fighting for. And we can, you know, with economic malaise and with troubles around multiculturalism, immigration, you know, there are a lot of problems this country is facing. But when you do get out into the wild and, well, relative wild, and go for a country walk, I think it can be very, very soothing. I note that the Times came out with a list of great country walks today. Check it out. I just wanted to share that.
Who did you walk it with?
Just friends, just anyone special? Just a group of friends. I think we're very quickly running out of time to discuss my dating life, so we'll move on to you, Renee.
Of course.
OK, I just want to celebrate the life of somebody who died this week, Ruth Bourne, aged 99. When Ruth left school, aged 16, she signed up to the Navy because she was hoping she might meet a sailor to be her husband. What she didn't expect was that she so excelled in the training that she actually ended up at Bletchley Park with the Turing machines decoding German messages, and she did that for the entire war. She was about to be shipped off to Ceylon when actually things took a different turn. She did meet her husband. He was actually a Czech airman in the RAF, and it just worth celebrating. When we talk about fighting for this country, these are the last of these veterans that live. As you can see, she met the Queen, and we need to just remember her wonderful life and her effort during the war to keep us safe.
What lovely pictures.
Yeah, they are. And I think the word hero, or in this instance heroine, is probably overused in society today, but that is a genuine heroine. So, Renee, thank you for that. Thank you for bringing Ruth to our attention, and long may she be remembered. Emma.
Oh, mine's much less serious than that was. Bindi, the cat, vanished into thin air in 2020 from her home in Cambridgeshire, and now has miraculously been returned home in time for Christmas.
Wow.
5 years on, a vet managed to... obviously, having checked her little electronic tag or whatever the microchip is, managed to track down her owner, and now Bindi's home.
Oh,
that's a beautiful story.
I'm going to add to this. This is actually why these tags are actually really worthwhile. So my cat, Mr. Ming, many years ago went missing.
Excellent name, Renee.
And he was gone for 8 weeks. Over Christmas, we had one of the coldest winters ever, and that was it. I thought he was gone. And one day, the vet called me, and he said, is that, as my name was then, it wasn't under
Mrs. Ming.
Mrs. Myerson. And he said, we've got someone here who knows you.
Oh.
And my cat was returned. He was in a bit of a sorry state. He'd been living wild, and someone had been watching him until they managed to catch him. But these tags do return cats to their owners.
They once were lost, but now they are found.
That's a great
A wonderful reminder of the feline festive spirit. Trey, on to you.
So this week I watched The Housemaid with the lovely Sydney Sweeney. And what I loved about it is she said, I want to make films that will impact and hopefully save people's lives. And for that, I don't want to spoil the film, actually, but there's a little bit about sort of domestic violence type theme, etc. But what I love about films like this and the way Hollywood is going now, they're actually starting to make meaningful films again. We went through a state where it was like kind of political, very shallow, no depth. Nobody really warmed to any of the characters for about a 2-3 year period. And now we're going back into a bit more depth. Like last night, I watched Avatar, which actually made me cry. And I'm absolutely okay as a grown man in saying that I blubbered right at the end of that. And I think it's a really great thing that films and movies are actually getting good again. What do you guys think?
This is interesting because I saw Avatar this week as well, and actually the person who cried in our family was the man. So
a real man, I love it.
And look, I must admit I haven't seen the Sydney Sweeney films, but she certainly made me want to buy a pair of jeans, and for that alone, she should be celebrated. Kai.
The one thing I will say, I think you're the first person in the world to say that the current crop of Hollywood films is that it is getting more meaningful.
They are trying to. They actually are trying to. Yeah.
Definitively, they are not.
I wasn't aware actually that we had that clip ready to go. If we didn't, that's a remarkably speedy piece of work for our production team, or they're starting to understand me far too well, and that is worrisome. Kai.
No, he didn't mix me up. He just thought I'd not gone.
I will start refusing to.
No, that's
let's boycott them.
Some of you may have seen this BBC story this week. I want to get the details right, but on the 23rd of December 1975, Rob Parsons and his wife Diane preparing for Christmas, and a man turned up with a frozen chicken in his hand, Ronnie Lockwood. Now, this was just the beginning of a friendship that lasted over 45 years. It's been pitched as the man who turned up at our door and stayed for 45 years. He was a deeply autistic man who they took under their wing, looked after. He then was a volunteer, took many different jobs with their support. You have to read the whole story really to understand it. It's a true Christmas miracle of a story.
Someone
I
has
recommend it.
got to make this into a film.
Yeah, absolutely right. That is a lovely story. And what was the name of the gentleman?
Ronnie Lockwood.
Ronnie Lockwood. If you want to read more about that extraordinary story, or if you want to investigate potentially any film rights as well to end the point. Next, we've got the rest of this week's Trigger Tantrums. Apparently, one of the world's biggest pop stars should be cancelled just because she likes Donald Trump. Don't you dare go away. It's Saturday 5 on GBNews.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdley, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in a chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5 Extra on GB News. If you noted an added attempt at pronunciation, that's because Kevin has told me maybe learn how to pronounce GB. It ain't GB News. Noted, Kevin. Now, we've got our final batch of triggered tantrums. Emma, what have you got for us?
Well, I think we should just take a look at it.
Yeah, that kid is definitely signing up for the Army gap year, that's for sure.
Look, he has to be rescued.
Good grief. Well, look, I guess it's the Grinch, so probably deserves it.
I think that, that kid, who's Anthony Joshua?
That's what I was just going to say.
That kid would do better at fighting Anthony Joshua.
I was just going to say that. My God, he wouldn't get his jaw broken.
See, I told you it defied description.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Trey, what have you got?
I have got a very well-known pop star, although she'll probably call herself a rap star, Nicki Minaj, who turned up at Turning Point USA. I don't know if she was invited, whatever happened. But anyway, people are very upset with her. Let's take a look.
I don't know about you guys, but Barbs, you have got to step up your game of canceling Nicki Minaj. The way she literally disowned all of her fans and talked massive about them on stage today shows that she never cared about us. I stopped the moment she started following and liking Trump's tweets, and that was a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. But after seeing her at that Turning Point convention today, that was very heartbreaking and just disgusting to see. And I will never understand how minorities will ever vote for people who are trying to get them killed, who are trying to harm them.
Really funny about this, aside from the fact that it just goes against what Trey was saying earlier about cancelling people on the left or the right. But Trump, actually, his vote was across the board. There was not, it wasn't all white people voting for Trump, quite the opposite. He had the Hispanics, he had the blacks, he had everyone.
I think because her fan base traditionally, like LGBTQ, etc., I think people see it as a traitorous thing to do. But I think it's actually brave of her as a celebrity, a modern celebrity, to actually be authentic.
Very brave.
About her point of views. I mean, like I said, I don't agree with everything that Trump does, but why can't people say that they like Trump? I mean, some of the stuff she said was quite sensible about, young boys and masculinity. She has some okay views, but I mean, her fan base is just literally leaving her.
I think she did it very elegantly. So at one point, Erica Kirk asked her a question that was something to the effect of, well, how do you feel about all of the haters, and, all these people who were, angry with you for speaking out, or whatever it was that she said. And Nicki Minaj's response was, are they? Are they hating on me? And she just did it in such an elegant way. I just think her reaction to, her lack of reaction to this guy, she's not going to hear you, mate. Cry harder.
Yeah, absolutely right. And to your favourite, Sydney Sweeney did an equally brilliant interview with one of those sorts of, progressive journalists the other day, where she just didn't buy into the nonsense that the journalist was trying to take her down. When the journalist said, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to potentially apologise, if you've offended anyone after that jeans ad that we saw earlier. Do you have anything to say? Sydney Sweeney, just with a look of contempt, went, no.
Well, she actually said, I'll decide.
That's right.
Important.
It's healthy. I think we should see more celebrities being authentic about their views, so we get a sense of what they think.
Kai, what have you got for us with triggered tantrums?
Just an example of one person who shouldn't be more authentic with his views, Stephen Yaxley Lennon. Let's take a look at this.
I've got my children with me. They love Misfits, they always have, so I was given...
Don't interview him. He's a racist. Giving him airtime for?
They are interviewing me.
Why are you giving him airtime?
They are interviewing me.
Racist rat.
They are
Why are you giving him airtime for?
They are interviewing me.
He hates Muslims, but he's in a Muslim country. Where that one at?
They are interviewing me.
Don't give him no airtime.
Mate,
you hate Muslims like this. Why are you here? Why are you in this country? You hate Muslims.
I'm here on the invite, actually.
You hate Muslims, so why are you in a Muslim country for?
Kai?
Yeah, he thought that in the safe haven of Dubai he could get away with just waltzing around treating himself like a celebrity, but actually he was put right in his place.
He certainly was. I think it was actually brilliant in many ways because, well, I can't remember the guy's name. I know he's a boxer as well from Derby or something. I mean, what he said to him is, if you hate Muslims so much, why are you here in the Muslim country? I mean, it was quite a valid thing for him to say, really.
He's not living there.
I know, but I mean,
visiting.
he talks about, Islam, and then he said something about 80% of, oh, God, I don't know,
But
But I don't condone the violence of it. He shouldn't have pushed him, and he said that he shouldn't have done it either.
Yeah, and that sentence at the beginning, why are you giving him airtime? Nobody's allowed to listen to Tommy Robinson for things that he did in his distant past.
Yeah.
Maybe we should listen to him now on grooming gangs and everything else that he's talking about.
Yeah, Kai, I've got a question. Tommy Robinson obviously is a man who elicits mixed views from people, but there is no doubt that he's an incredibly effective leader of a political movement in this country, and he has rallied hundreds of thousands of people around his cause. Do you think he will continue to have a comparable impact on British politics in 2026?
I hope not.
I mean, the fact that Reform don't really want anything to do with him says a lot, really, doesn't it?
No, I don't think it does. I think they're affected by the same public
No, I think it does.
that we are not allowed to like Tommy, just like we're not allowed to like Katie Hopkins.
No, you can like who you want, but I mean, even Tommy's he's gone beyond that.
His movement is, by nature of the way that it's developed and grown, is independent of any political party or any establishment support. And I think you just have to look at how many people he managed to rally in London for that Unite the Kingdom rally.
That peaceful.
It was an absolute sea of people. It was incredibly large. And so I don't think that Tommy Robinson's going anywhere. If anything, I think his rallies will get bigger.
Yeah, I also just can't help but feel whenever Tommy Robinson comes up, there is a class element here, and his messaging would be largely similar to someone like Douglas Murray, but Douglas Murray says it, as someone coming from Eton and does it in a posh voice with a very, very impressive vocabulary, whereas Tommy Robinson doesn't come across in the same way. Renee, do you think that is a fair way to look at that there is a bit of a classist element to this?
I think there's a classist element, and I think people don't want his voice to be heard because they know too many people are listening.
Well, again, a controversial figure, and indeed we will not shy away from controversial topics, controversial people, or controversial conversations on this show. That's why you tune into the Saturday 5. It's Saturday's biggest UK TV show. Before we have any more, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to reintroduce you to our old friend who thought he'd take a break from our show tonight, Alex Armstrong. Alex, what have you got for us tonight, mate?
Thanks so much, Will. Yes, I have probably the biggest story in Britain tonight that's being broadcast nowhere else. Nobody wants to touch it. It's the story of Alaa Abd El Fattah, a man who has been imprisoned in Egypt, who is being brought here to the UK. Many of you would have seen this story online today, but some of his views, let me tell you, are going to boil your blood. Robert Jenrick is going to be joining me to talk about this story, and of course, we'll be talking about everything else that's going on in the world. You won't want to miss this show tonight. See you shortly.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see a mixed bag of weather across the UK over the next few days. Some sunshine, but equally thicker bits of cloud giving some patchy rain and some frost and fog in places during the overnight period as well. High pressure centred towards the northwest of the UK at the moment. Fairly tightly packed isobars indicating quite brisk winds, and those winds are coming in from a chilly east to northerly direction. Certainly a lot of cloud coming in on that easterly flow during the overnight period as well. Some cloud breaks out towards the west of Wales, across the far southwest of England, but the best of the overnight breaks are likely across parts of Scotland. Here turning quite frosty, the blue colours there indicating a widespread frost. some fog patches in places as well. But with the cloud down towards the south and across eastern spots, and with that breeze too, mostly frost-free here. So as we go into Sunday then, we get off to quite a bright start across Scotland once the fog and frost lifts, but that fog could take time to clear in places. Certainly a very cold start, to say temperatures below freezing in places here. More in the way of cloud across Northern Ireland, some bright spells. And across England and Wales, it's a fairly cloudy start to Sunday as well. The best of the early brightness across West Wales and the far southwest of England, but elsewhere with a cloud around and a bit of a breeze too. It's mostly frost-free across England and Wales. Going through the rest of the day on Sunday, once that fog and frost clears from Scotland, plenty of sunshine here, some brightness out across other western spots at times, but generally speaking, it will be quite a cloudy day, especially across England and Wales, mostly dry, and later in the day we'll start to see some clearer weather moving in across the far southeast as well. Temperatures close to where they should be for the time of year at about 6 to 8 Celsius, still quite breezy in the south, taking the edge off of those values, and a bit cooler, especially if any fog does linger across parts of Scotland. Monday gets off to a clearer start, so we'll see more in the way of frost around, some fog patches in places. That should all gradually lift to leave some sunshine in places, but notice a band of cloud with patchy rain, a bit of hill sleet there moving south across parts of Scotland. And that takes us into a fairly settled start to the next week. Some sunshine at times, but equally quite chilly still, with some night frost and fog in places.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to become our biggest cash prize winner to date. £85,000 in totally tax-free cash could be making its way from our bank account to yours. It would be like having over £7,000 per month extra to play with, each month for a whole year. That could be you, safe in the knowledge that 2026 is on us. For another chance to win £85,000 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate.